Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Audrey and here I like to discuss all things regarding beauty, slow living, new books and favorites that I'm enjoying. So if that's the kind of thing that interests you, please feel free to stick around. And today I will be reviewing the Rock and Stone and Jewels and Gem palette from Oden's Eye. I know these came out a little while ago, but I had a lot of fun playing around with these and doing a look with each of these palettes. I'm gonna go ahead and go into the voiceover section, and then at the very end I'll go ahead and give my final thoughts on this palette.
Alright, so starting off with the Rock and Stone palette and going in with the shade Jubilance, I'm just taking a small packing brush and packing that all over my lid before blending it out with a fluffy brush. For my placement, I'm just taking this on the outer third of my eye, on the top and bottom lid, and swirling that almost all the way up to my brow bone before dipping into the shade Madness, which is this beautiful bright chartreuse. And with that same fluffy brush that I was using earlier, I'm just dusting this all over the first. Then taking the shade Fervor, which is a matte white, I'm dusting this all over my inner corner. And with these areas, I'm being very vague in general. I'm just going for like a watercolory wash all over the eyes instead of a like specific precise look. And then with this shade Elevated, I'm lining my eyes with a small packing brush on the top and bottom outer lid. Now I am just taking a flat brush and doing a cut crease with my NYX glitter primer that I use with a lot of metallics and shimmers, and this just helps those shimmers really pop. I take that flat brush and I pat it all over so that my lids have a nice sticky base. Using the shade Fervor, which is a lavender to teal iridescent duochrome, I'm using this on my inner corner and cutting out the top part of my lid, and I'm taking that all the way to the middle of my lid on the top, leaving it open on the bottom center of my lid so I can go in with the shade Lightheartedness, which is a metallic olive, and I'm just tapping that all over the top and bottom of my middle lid. And then I'm going in with my ColourPop waterliner gel in the shade Overboard, my Stila mascara, doing some fake freckles with my freckle pen, and finally going in with my Moonlight Princess Flower Nose lip tint. This is gonna conclude the look that I did with the Rock and Stone palette. And in just a second, I'll show you some of the finished looks, but not before going in with my Fenty All Over Diamond Balm in the shade How Many Carats, tapping that on the high points of my face, and here is the finished look. She is giving elevated grungy greens, which is my favorite grungy summer color to work with. I have a splash of duochrome, and I feel like this is just such a perfect look for the summer. Now going into the Jewels and Gem palette, I'm gonna take a fluffy brush and sweep this shade Ecstasy, which is a dusty lavender, all over the crease of my eye, just so that I have a silky base for the other shadows to latch onto. And during this stage, I am also just smoothing out my eye primer, which of course I'm using the Kaleidos eye primer as always. Now using the shade Elation, which is a dusty mauve, I'm just stamping this in my outer corner of my upper and bottom lid where my eye crease meets, and I'm really not lifting this up, I'm just kind of keeping this on the outer corner, deepening it up with the shade Sawzle, and using an angled wedge-shaped brush, I'm going to use this to line my eyes, and this is what I'm going to use to kind of get that grungy, lifted look without having to do like a fox eye and still keep the round shape of my eyes that I like. This is what's going to give us that reverse cat eye look that's still gonna keep a round eye shape, that kind of like creepy cute eye shape that I really love, but still giving a lot of lift by keeping that dark shadow close to the lash line. Once again, going in with my NYX glitter primer in the front third or so of my lid, really more like the front half, and then I'm going in with the shade Rhapsody, which is a brownie tealy duochrome metallic that is so beautiful. Tapping this on the middle of my lid. Also taking this on the bottom middle of my lid just to get a little bit of that sparkle. Then I'm going in with the shade Swoon, which is a very vibrant peach to green multi-chrome that is just going to totally transform this look, putting that in the first third of my eye. So with the other side of that same flat brush with the NYX glitter primer still sticky on both sides, I'm taking that all the way into the shade Rhapsody and making sure that those two shades merge seamlessly. Taking my flat brush and just patting it in, and this is what it looks like, so you can see a little bit of those shifts. And now what I'm doing is that same angled liner brush that I was using earlier with the shade Sawzall on it. I am taking that matte deepening shade, going back over the areas with the metallic, and that's going to re-emphasize those shaded areas. And this is what's totally going to transform this look, is with the shade Paradise. I am tapping this on my outer crease, which is something that I normally never do. Normally I leave that area matte, but this is what gives this oil slick appearance, because that shade is a duochrome with a black base and a purple flip. And then I'm just taking my fluffy blending brush that I used for my mattes and doing my inner waterline with the color pencil, lining my winged liner by taking the outer flick, bringing it in, and then filling it in. I have a degree in art. I studied art for 4 years and I still don't get this right on the first try, so I always think it's smaller and then go bigger as I need to. And then how I like to make it mine, my personal technique, is I actually take it into my bottom lid as well, the outer third or so, and I just connect those, and that emphasizes the kind of creepy cute look that I like. And with this a different shade of my flower nose lip tint going in to complete this look, and again with my freckle pen doing some fake freckles on my high points of my face, and this is the finished look. I think it came out so beautiful. This is my favorite of the two looks, and it's really giving oil slick eyes, so many dimensional shifts, but yet still like kind of subtle and neutral and sultry. So tell me what you think. Tell me which one of the looks you like more down in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing what you think.
Let's just do a little overview. These two palettes came out at the same time from Oden's Eye. They are both 15 pans and based off of the themes of jewels, gemstones, and then like natural ore. So here's the Rock and Stone palette. It has more of a earthy and green color story, and then this one is the Jewels and Gem palette, and this is more of like a dusty, purpley, cool toned neutral palette. Both of these are totally gorgeous. I got them on release and have just been having so much fun playing with these. I've been using these a lot more than just the video that I show here, but I've been mixing and matching them. I've been having just such a great time with these. So I'll go ahead and do my 2 looks with my voiceovers, and then we'll go ahead and circle back and do a final review. First off, my thoughts on the Rocks and Stone palette. I had such a good time with this palette. This is totally up my alley. I wear greens all the time. Like, my hair is a light green right now, and I'm just having such a fun time playing around with this. And I'm also very impressed with how much range there is in here. So you don't just have like one tone of green, you have like a bright green, a bright olive. This is like a green to pink duochrome. I'll go ahead and swatch some of the more unique duochromes. This is such a icy wet shade that is just such a powerful inner corner highlight. I'm just gonna pop some on right now. Actually, this is the kind of thing that I feel like Oden's Eye does so well. They just have the most special, beautiful shimmers, and their matte formula is great as well, as we all know, but their shimmer formula is just so unique and, like, honestly probably my favorite in existence. The other one I want to shade for you is this shade High Spirits, and this is a black based duochrome that's blue to green. Actually has some purple in there too, so this is kind of more of a multi-chrome. Yeah, enough said. Like, this is just so special and out there, and for like $35 or so for a 15 pan that has this many duochromes and multi-chromes, I'm just so impressed. So I have been having so much fun with these 2 shades in particular, but really this entire palette has just been such a treat to play with. And then on top of the multi-chromes, Oden's Eye also has these like flaky shimmer formulas that look kind of more like a pressed glitter from the video. They're not pressed glitters, they are pressed shimmers, but these ones in particular that have that kind of like crushed glittery looking effect, these look so foiled and metallic. They're not as like sparkly or shimmery as these, but they just look like so buttery smooth on the eyes, and I just have been having so much fun. As far as the mattes go, I feel like there's a good balance between shimmers and mattes. I like how this palette is arranged. The one thing that I could have done without is having a matte white and a matte black. When I buy from an indie brand, I don't feel like I need to have a matte white or a matte black. I just feel like those are so easy to find in another formula, and when I'm, you know, when I'm ordering from Oden's Eye, I would prefer to have a more unique shade. But I'm fine with 2 out of 15 shades being a bust for me. I'm fine with this color story. I think it's gorgeous. I'm having so much fun. I'll take a grungy, ghosty palette any time of the year. Up next is the Jewels and Gems palette. This one I was not expecting to like as much, but I actually ended up liking this one even more than the Rock and Stone palette. I'm not a huge fan of purples or blues on my eyes, but these were just so easy to work with. And like dusty pinks, that is my perfect neutral. I am not that excited about neutrals, but a dusty pink, I have so much fun with that. I feel like it's so beautiful. So this makes a lot of other colors that normally are a little bit unfamiliar to me a lot easier. So like this dusty greeny gray, these dusty navy blues, all of them were totally workable when I used them in combination with these other shades. So let's talk about some of the statement shades in this palette. Shade Swoon, I feel like, is the multi-chrome, like, moneymaker shade. And I'm gonna go ahead and swatch this one for you guys. And this is a kind of like a yellow to green to pink multi-chrome. I don't know how much it's showing up on the camera, but like, it's one of those toppery shades that it kind of looks invisible in some lighting. Let me get real close. It looks kind of invisible in some lighting, and then from other lighting, it's just like, from other lighting, it's totally just like a prismatic opalescent shade. So beautiful. I can't get enough of these. Other multi-chromes in here, this one, the shade High, this is very similar to a shade that was actually in the Merry Christmas palette. And that's one thing I did want to mention, is that both of these palettes I feel like have a lot of similarities with the Merry Christmas and Christmas Eve palettes that went totally viral and sold out, and everybody was very bummed out about missing out about those. So here's some of the standout shades, but honestly there are no flops in here. And oh, last one I want to swatch is this black base duochrome called Acceleration. Yeah, and this is like a silver to purple. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like almost a pewter silver to like a magenta to purple. It's so unique, and that's the kind of thing that Oden's Eye does so well, are these shades that like nobody expects. Like look, it literally is like, it almost looks like a matte gray in some places, and then when the light hits it, it's like lavender to magenta. It's just like so unique. Who thinks of this stuff? These are all so unique and so powerful. I definitely feel like these two, the black base multi-chromes, are the stars of the show, but honestly all of these shades are so good. Yeah, I actually ended up liking this color story more just because I feel like it had a little bit more range. I'm not a huge fan of multi-chrome palettes, and while grungy greens are one of my favorite colors to work with, it is kind of limiting to have another grungy green palette. I have like the Melt multi-chrome green palettes, the 420, the Gemini, the I have another one but I forget. But like I have grungy green monochrome palettes already, and they're my absolute favorite and I love them, and yes, I'm so happy to have another one, but this actually really introduced something new to my collection that, while this might look a little bit more basic, and sure, maybe like you have something that's a dupe of this already, this was so much fun for me to use and to play around with some of these dusty, neutrally rosy shades. One thing that I did not love about this collection was the cover art. Oden's Eye just like typically knocks it out of the park with their cover designs, and while these aren't like, you know, these aren't half bad, I'm kind of disappointed that they just had like two of the same repeating with just like a little bit of a different packaging. I don't know, it feels kind of rushed. It doesn't feel like it holds up to their Oden's Eye standard. Like, I'm gonna show you their holiday release packaging and compare. So this is their Merry Christmas palette, and they have a Christmas Eve one that's kind of like a blue and silver instead of red and gold. But like, this is so detailed, so stunning, and this was for a limited release. And then compare it to like this, it just like doesn't, I don't know, I'm a little bit disappointed. Packaging is a big part of the reason why I collect makeup in the first place, so it's a little bit disheartening when I see one of my favorite brands that typically knocks it out of the park when they kind of like, I don't know, I don't think it feels lazy, I think it feels rushed. I think they wanted to crank this one out. It wasn't a collab, it wasn't teased super hard, and I think it was just like not their most intentional release, which is disappointing to me because I feel like the insides of these are so perfect. So that's like my #1 criticism of this release, but at the same time, that doesn't take away from the beautiful, shifty, magical shades that are inside. You can make some gorgeous, gorgeous looks with these palettes, and the outside packaging doesn't take away from that. That being said, normally I keep my sleeves for my palettes. I did not keep the sleeves for these because I do not care if they get messed up. So those are my thoughts on the Oden's Eye, Stone and Rock, and Jewel and Gem collection. I had so much fun recording these looks. This is a new format for me to do the voiceover type videos, so let me know if this is something that you enjoy watching. This is a brand new channel, so I really have been enjoying this conversations I've been having with new people in my comments, and it just means so much. Some of y'all have said the most insanely sweet things to me that just blow my mind. So I thank you guys so much for that. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!